Today we're talking about the 5 cons of tiny living. And if you guys know, as per usual on my channel, this is not the Instagram version of life. This is real life. This is the cold, hard truth about tiny living. And based on this train wreck, can you see the floor here? Going on right here, look at a table. Can you guess what number 1 is? Can you guess? I moved from a 3,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-story house to a tiny little hobbit cottage that, although I can't tell you exactly, I think it's about 400 square feet, just about 400 square feet, maybe a tiny bit more with the closets. So if you're new here, that's what's going on. I decided to move into a tiny little space for a few reasons. And mostly, I'm really happy with it. I truly am. I love where I'm living right now. There's so many benefits. The reason I went from 3,000 square feet down to 400 square feet is because I'm thinking about buying a house in this area that I have my little hobbit cottage in, and I wanted to live in the area for a little while and get to know the different neighborhoods and where I think I might want to look for a house. We've all done that. Maybe you've bought a house in a town that you were new to, that maybe you would have looked at a different area now that you're there for a while. So I wanted to live here without making a big commitment. And I knew that if I was going to move, that I'd have to completely decorate a new space. And I wasn't up for it. I have moved so many times in the last several years, all my choice. I've kind of been slow traveling around the country. So it's absolutely been my choice, but I have decorated, bought furniture, unpacked and packed so many houses. I was kind of like tired and over it. And the last move I made really wasn't my idea. I kind of got surprised into it. So anywho, I thought if I'm going to get a place, I want to get a tiny little place because I didn't want to go through all the furnishing, decorating, a whole bunch of square feet. And I thought if I get a little place, I can decorate it pretty quickly, which I did. I got everything off of Facebook Marketplace and thrift stores for this particular place, with the exception of my bed. I don't get used mattresses. I always get new mattresses. So here we are. I'm living in a very small space, and although it was my choice and I don't regret it at all, I love where I'm living, there are some downsides. And number 1 on the list of downsides is space. You literally don't have much space. And although on paper that can look like kind of like, oh, you know, I'll manage everything, I don't have much stuff, there are times when this becomes your reality. Now, if you look over here, it's a tragic mess. I know that. And although it doesn't get like this very often, this is kind of as bad as it gets. There is a potential for this to happen, and I'll tell you why. All this stuff has come into my house. Either companies have sent me products because I work out of my home and companies send me a lot of products. So those 2 boxes right there are a water filter and an air filter that I really want to show you guys because I think they're great. Well, guess what? I've got to have them shipped to me and try them before I can talk about them. So I have them here right in my living room, and you might be saying, well, Kimberly, move them somewhere else. Where? There's no place to move them to. In addition, stuff on the floor, this is recycle stuff that I need to take to the trash can, bags that I need to put in the car for when I go grocery shopping. I live in a state where you need to bring your own bags. I have a couple of pairs of shoes down here. I don't know if you can see that. And then on the table is a whole bunch of stuff. There are a couple of bowls that I washed that need to go into the pantry over in the corner. There's mail, there's a book I bought, all kinds of stuff that when you get busy like I've been, they just sit there for a while because it's not as easy and convenient to tuck things away as it is in a bigger house. And that's just the fact. I mean, if I was in that 3,000 3-bedroom, 3-bath square foot house, I could put these boxes and all this stuff in a side room, like in the guest room, and, you know, get back to it in a few days when things have slowed down. That's one of the things that I really, really encourage you to think about if you're considering tiny living, because this is a reality. And although it doesn't always get like this, it can get like this. And the question you need to ask yourself is, can you do it? Can you do it? I know in my days past when I had bigger homes, this kind of stuff would get put away in a little side bedroom or in a closet, or even, you know, someplace in a garage or storage shed. Well, here I have no place. So space is the number one con of tiny living. Same mess, different view. One of the things that you really need to consider if you're looking at tiny living is not only the space that you'll be personally living in, like your body is going to stay there, sleep there, eat there, sit there, read there, that sort of thing, but what kind of accessory space might be available to you. Some of the tiny homes have, let's say, an outdoor shed or some type of carport or some type of garage. However, most of them don't. And my place is one of those that don't. These big boxes right here, and this is product that was sent to me to test and try. This is my business. So I have a lot of boxes coming in, and this one, this is from AquaTrue, and this one is from a company that I think is doing really good work, which is why I said, go ahead and send them to me. I knew the boxes were going to be big, but they're big. So I want to put these out in the garage. Well, I don't have a garage, and I don't have a carport, and I don't have a shed. I got nothing. My car is out there on the street. And so if you're looking at a tiny space, one of the things you might want to keep in mind is, what else is available to me? I chose not to rent a storage unit. I could have done that, and I could have brought a lot more from that larger house and put much of it in a storage unit. But you know what? It doesn't take long for the rental on that storage unit to equal the value of what it's storing. So it didn't really make sense to me, because I knew that my long-term goal was to buy a place, and I just wasn't sure if the things I'd be storing were going to be a good fit for that place. So I don't have any type of outside storage at all. I do have a front patio that's covered, and it has a little table on it. I'll show that to you in a minute, I think. And sometimes I'll put things on that table when I'm in the middle of a project or something, because I don't have any other area to put things. So does the space you're looking at, if you're looking at living smaller or living tiny, does it have a garage? Does it have a carport? Does it have a parking spot? Does it have a shed? What does it have? And if it doesn't have anything, that's something to think about. Now, I was aware of the situation, the outdoor situation, and the other units that I was looking at did have like an outdoor shed. This one didn't, but there were some pluses around this one that really I feel very fortunate about. So I'm not complaining. But what I'm saying is that if you have things like this, you know, either from work or from personal projects or this and that are going to come into the house, large things like this, it's going to be something to think about. Now, the bottom line is these are going to have to live in my dining area for several weeks now. And is that something that you can live with comfortably? Are you comfortable with something maybe not very aesthetically pleasing being in a space that's right in the middle of where you hang out? So definitely something to think about. Does the place you're looking at have a garage, a carport, a storage shed, or any safe, secure, covered outdoor area when you might get larger items that you really need someplace to put them. Okay, don't look at my stove. I think there's probably crumbs on it. So don't be looking at my stove. I haven't cleaned it. So there we have it. So number 3 on the list of cons of tiny living is space. And here's a spoiler alert. Number 4 and number 5 are space too. It's all space. 1 through 5, it's all space. There is, in my mind, almost no other con about tiny living other than space. It is so economical. It is so easy. If you didn't see my video on the pros of tiny living, go ahead and watch it. I'll have it listed in the description box down below, where I go through all the reasons I actually love tiny living. It's super affordable. My cost of living is less than half of what it was before when I was living in that larger house. Super easy to clean, super easy to move around because it's a step and a half and you're where you need to be. It's very, very cozy. It's just a lot of really yummy, lovely stuff that I appreciate. However, one of the things you might want to look at if you're thinking about living tiny is what could be the pet peeve. And I'll tell you, there's one thing in this whole place that drives me crazy. Everything else I can live with. Everything else I can absolutely live with, or I adore, or I appreciate. What absolutely drives me crazy and is a total pet peeve is this refrigerator. Please, ladies, in the name of all things holy, do not buy one of these little mini refrigerators. And it's not necessarily the fact that they don't hold very much. They don't hold very much. I don't know how 2 people could exist with this refrigerator, but you know, I do eat whole, real food. In other words, my cupboard, my pantry, which is back there, has very few items in it because I eat fruits and vegetables, and I buy meat from a local rancher, grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And so my food is whole and real, and it needs to go in a refrigerator. But what I want to show you, and this thing drives me crazy, is I want you to look at where my head is and where the start of the refrigerator portion of this unit is. That's a huge difference. I'm telling you, getting in this refrigerator is like crawling under the coffee table. Everything is so low, and you open it up and you can see I'm going to have to almost be on my hands and knees to get down to the lower shelves. And the little drawer that holds the fruits and vegetables, I'm crawling on my hands and knees to get down there. It is so low. So that's the one thing that drives me crazy about this place. So if you're looking at a place and they already have appliances, take a look at that. Now, what could have improved this situation? If the freezer portion was down at the bottom, that would be a vast improvement. Because, you know, we maybe open the freezer once a day, maybe twice a day, but we're in and out of the refrigerator all day long, getting things for coffee in the morning and then lunch and then dinner and it goes on and on. This is so difficult to work with because I'm literally folded in half when I'm trying to get things out of the refrigerator, which is not very comfortable. And what happens then is it's not very organized in there because I would literally have to get down on my hands and knees and start pulling things out and putting them on the floor in order to have it super organized. So something to consider is the appliances. If you're looking at a space that already has them, if you're going to be purchasing your own appliances, please don't get one of these. And if you're going to get a smaller refrigerator, It could probably be redeemed if the refrigerator portion was on the top and the freezer on the bottom. Look, it's a little Lucy Lou hanging out on the bed. Isn't she sweet? Hey, Lucy. The next con, again, is space. Like I've said before, but this one is a little bit different than the ones I've talked about before. This one is more of an internal ability to overlook stuff. So I am a rebounder. I absolutely love my rebounder. Sorry about that light up there, you guys. There's not much I can do about it because space. My rebounder is so important to my happiness. I absolutely love it. And it's bigger. You know, it's something that's a little bit bigger. Well, the reality is that I'm not willing to give up my rebounder. I'm just not. But I don't have any place good to put it because space, back into space. So it is leaned up against the wall here in my bedroom. And then what I do is I just pull it down and I bounce on it. And if it's a day where I'm working around the house, I kind of have a little rule for myself that every hour I have to jump on the rebounder for 5 minutes. That's just so that I don't end up sitting without moving that much. So if it's going to be one of those days where I'm home working, that's going to be down on the floor of my bedroom all day long, because at the top of every hour, I come and jump on that for 5 minutes. Now you might think, well, that's not that big of a deal. I can live with that. Well, can you really? Because look at, there's my bed right there, and there's the rebounder. There's not much air in between the two. And when that rebounder is down, it's right in the middle of my bedroom because my bedroom is really, really tiny. Now for me, this is harder for me to live with because when I was being a mom and the kids were little and I had one of those big houses that I don't know why any of us got those big houses, you know, those really big houses. And I had the little girls and my house was tidy. Things were put away. Stuff was not out. And my daughter, who's now 36, to this day harbors resentment over the fact that I had her brush the strings, you know, the fringe on the area rugs so that the fringe would, you know, be all straight and everything. That was a little obsessive. I realize that now. And she's still bitter about it. And I get it. So this rebounder in the middle of my bedroom is not my favorite thing because I am an aesthetic person. In other words, I am visual and I like beautiful visuals. This is not a beautiful visual. This is, oh my God, there's a rebounder leaned up against the wall visual. And there's a light switch right behind that. You can see it right there. So I got to move the rebounder, do the light switch for the laundry little cupboard right back there. So it's a whole thing. My point is that space is, in my mind, the one pro to tiny living, which what else could it be? But there's lots of different things about space. Can you live with something like this and have it be okay and have it not drive you crazy? So that's something that you want to think about before you make the leap into living tiny. We are now out on my private side yard, and for me, this is absolutely one of the greatest gifts about this tiny space. It is beautiful, it is interesting, it's beautifully landscaped. You can see there's a pathway that goes up the hill. That right there, that's cardboard that I'm setting aside for planting season because this is my project for April and then all the way through the spring and summer. I'm going to start up at the very top and start planting flowers and herbs, and I'm going to have a vegetable garden in this area here. And over here on the patio area here, let me show you that. There is, oh, there's the puppy. There's this patio area over here that I'm going to get some patio furniture and a little barbecue, and it's just going to be lovely. The fact that I have this space out here, this side space, and this is where my bird feeders are and all that stuff, really makes my small space very, very livable and very, very cozy and delightful. I get to look out at this space all day long. If I'm working on the couch, I sit on the couch and that's where I work on my computer. It's my little office. This space is really, in my mind, the gift of this particular Hobbit cottage. And the funny thing is that this was not my first choice. I had another unit in mind that was the one that I thought I wanted. It was already rented by the time I saw it. And the real estate agent said, you know, I've got this other little space that's available. And she showed it to me and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, all my options were getting very, very limited because there's not a lot available to rent in this small community. It's a tiny little community. It's an older community, and it's become very popular because people are getting out of the cities. And when she showed me this unit, it was so small. And I thought, I don't know what to do. You know, it's so small, I don't know if I can do this. Well, I just made a snap decision to say, okay. And when I say okay, that's a done deal. So I went ahead and signed the contract and all that. I didn't realize at this time what a gift this whole space was going to be. So I am so looking forward to April when I'm going to start doing a bunch of landscaping. I'm going to be doing my starts in the house on the window sill overlooking this area because it'll get some sunlight. And then when it's warm enough to start planting vegetables, that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to be able to grow a lot of food and a lot of beautiful flowers out in this area. The reason I want to talk about this and why this is such a gift, and for me, it's almost the icing on the cake, or maybe it's the whole cake and the little unit is the icing. There is so much beauty here. The birds are flocking in this area, particularly now that I have the bird feeder out here and they found it. So this is a saving grace, or maybe it is the whole joy of the unit because it's such a part of my experience living here. If you're looking at a small space to rent or buy, you might want to think about, what does the outdoor area look like? I know for me that if I didn't have this, I think living in that small little place might make me a little bit crazy. But because I feel like I can energetically move out into this area, and it really is a part of my living experience. Lucy and I come out here all the time. She goes out here all the time and chases squirrels and has a blast. This really is a big part of the joy of living here. So if you're looking at a small space, what type of exterior space are you going to have? Are you going to buy property and put a small unit on it? Is it a small unit with no outdoor area? That's really something that you want to consider because it could really impact the amount you enjoy your new place. Look, you guys, I've got my wind chimes right there. You know where I got those? From Ryan's nursery in South Carolina. Remember Ryan and Grassroots Nursery? Sweetest guy ever. I just love him to pieces. He has a YouTube channel now called Mr. Dig. You should check it out. It is so hysterically funny. He's having a ball. It's all heavy equipment and dude stuff, you know, but this little thing is such a little joy for me to remember because I got it at his nursery in South Carolina. That's what I have for you today. The 5 cons of tiny living. It's all space, it's all space, it's all space. But some things for you to think about. I hope you found this fun, useful, and helpful. You guys know it just makes my day when you take a few minutes out of your day to spend it with me. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything beauty, fitness, and lifestyle. For the over 50 and over 60 woman, I am about half a year from 70. It's going to be fun. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye now.